Some show up at Keeneland just to be beautiful, some for the burgoo. Me, it's because the best handicapping challenge on God's green earth is right here in Kentucky. Star horses come from Florida, California, and New York, Arkansas, and Louisiana, all to what undoubtedly is the greatest horse racing melting pot in America.
Into the stretch at Keeneland, and Flight Line just moves right by. Life is good.
Win here and you've done something. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's Keeneland. Now, let's get handicapping.
And a very good Saturday evening, everybody. Welcome into the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. On behalf of Keeneland, we're looking ahead to the Sunday, April 23rd card. This will be the 12th of 15 race days at Keeneland for the 2023 spring meet. After Sunday, then we've got a couple-day break and come back with the final 3 days of the meet on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday before racing in Kentucky shift the Churchill Downs and we all get whooped up towards the Kentucky Derby. So we've got 9 race card, I should say, coming up on Sunday. Review a little bit of what happened today. We'll also look ahead to the Sunday card race by race, give you the big picture of how we see the card shaping up. We'll give you the handicapper selectors box from Keeneland.com. Be sure to go check that out, download it, and print out or keep on your device there. Get handicapping help from Scott Hazelton, Tom Leach, Gabby Gaudette, Kim Nelson, and myself. Free at Keeneland.com in the handicappers consensus box each and every race day. Everybody's up and set for Sunday, so we'll get handicapping in just a few minutes. Let's review what happened on the Saturday card if you caught the action today. Upsets in the stakes races. The Ben Ally, it was rattle and roll for Kenny McPeak. Now a stakes winner at age 2, 3, and 4. At 2, he won the Breeders' Futurity here at Keeneland. At 3, he won Remington Park's Oklahoma Derby. And that was a 4-year-old. He won the Ben Ally. So impressive performance today from Brian Hernandez aboard Rattle and Roll. Brian had 3 winners on the card. What a day for him. Good day for Brian Hernandez. Another good day today for trainer Brendan Walsh. He's had an excellent meet. I believe 6 wins now at the meet for Walsh. His horse Verstappen won the Elkhorn in surprising fashion. Verstappen had never won on the turf before, had never won in a stakes race, just the second career stakes race, beating a salty group of older veterans, Channel Maker and all those horses, Value Engineering. But it was Verstappen, the horse who's kind of risen from the allowance ranks up into the lower stakes, and now a graded stakes winner in the second career stakes try. And again, the first win on turf for Verstappen comes in the Elkhorn today. Congratulations, 16-1 for that son of Warfront. Good meet for Warfront as the sire. That's the 3rd turf winner sired by Warfront on the grass so far this meet. Had 2 maidens prior and now the stakes winner. So congrats to Verstappen. Congrats to Brian Hernandez and Rattle and Roll. Part of a 2-win day for Kenny McPeak in the trainers ranks as well. So hats off to Kenny for a good day. And how about Raylu Gutierrez? 12-1 winner in the finale, helped carry the pick 6. Gutierrez with 2 winners on the card. That causes the pick 6 carryover, just a 1-day carryover, but $135,000, a lot bet into the pick 6 today. Of course, we had the big $4-point-something million pool on Friday, but they came back and bet the pick 6 again today with no carryover at all. Nobody hit it, so $135,000 carryover going into the Sunday card. No stakes races, a 9-race card. You think, well, this kind of looks like it's just kind of, humdrum, but now you throw $135,000 pick 6 carryover into it, and things are getting saucy in races 4 through 9 coming up on Sunday. So let's take a look at the big picture and see how this card does line up for the Sunday program. First post 1 o'clock, as always. Pick 5 starts in the opener. Early pick 4 will start in race number 2. That pick 6 with $135,000 carryover gets underway in race number 4. Race number 5 is going to be a swing race, part of the early pick 5, part of the late pick 5. Key race in your handicapping, perhaps. Also, the Keeneland Turf pick 3 starts there in the 5th race. 6th race will kick off the late pick 4. Then the turf pick 3 wraps in the 7th and 9th. Again, no stakes races on this card on Sunday. Our key plays seem to just fall in the back half of the card. Races 6, 7, and 9. We'll talk about each, why we like them as we get to those individual races. But you look at races 6 through 9 being the late pick 4, and we've got some of our key plays coming up in 6, 7, 9. You can see my interest on this card is probably going to lean towards playing the late pick 4. And that's really the reason why we do the big picture for you each night, because where do your plays come when you do your advanced handicapping? Where do they fall? Are they coincidentally next to each other for rolling daily doubles? Are they in the same clump of 3 or 4 races that could get you into a pick 4? That's what you want to do when you strategize, so that you're not getting to like, okay, race 5's over. Now race 6 is coming up. It's 28 minutes to post, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with not only this race, but maybe a horse that I like 2-3 races down the line. Prepare ahead. This is what this show's all about. That's why we do the look ahead. Let's go to the picks now for the Sunday card. We get things started in race number 1. A little bit of a scramble race, I think, according to the public handicappers. I think the 4, 5, and 1 are the obvious combinations when you look across the way, and that's the order I've got him in. He's got this, the 4, King's Ovation, the 5, and Fieldstone, the 1. There are also the 3 choices in the morning line. I don't think we're looking at anything too big here in terms of craziness. These claiming races have been pretty straightforward. Mile and a 16th. This is one of those dual condition claimers where you could be a 3-year-old or non-winners of 3 lifetime. These races have been very formful. We do not have any 3-year-olds entered in this race. We do have one later in the card, but this is all just basically a non-winners of 3 lifetime. He's got this Tyler Gaffleone riding. I think the blinker's on. The fact, too, this is a non-winners of 3 lifetime type condition. How long has it taken for the horse to get out of the non-winners of 3? Sometimes they say a slow horse's best friend is the non-winners of 3 lifetime condition, because once you get past that, you got to take on horses that have won a lot of races. So you got some horses in here, 2 for 28, 2 for 25. At least with the 4 horse, I like the fact that he's got this is only 2 for 11. In this condition, has already gotten through the non-winners of 2, only 11 career starts. I just think this horse might be a little bit more talented than some of the others. Been knocking on the door, 5 straight losses, but they're all 2nd and 3rd place finishes. Going to Tyler Gaffleone off the move from Fairgrounds ought to be, I think, enough just to get this one over the top. Tyler riding really well at the meet. Jockey notes to let you know, too. I should have said this off the top, but we have Luis Saez back in the Colony on Sunday and Joel Rosario back. They were both on the road for the Oaklawn Handicap on Saturday. How about Rosario's day? What a road trip for Joel Rosario yesterday. 3 stakes wins at Oaklawn Park. He won 1 by a length, 1 by a head, and another by a head. In true breathtaking, hold your breath, Joel Rosario fashion, 3 stakes wins by a combined margin of a length and a quarter. Congrats. Proxy won the Oaklawn Handicap under Joel Rosario. No luck on the road trip for Luis Saez. He'll be back at it, though. Both those jockeys are on the card here on Sunday at Keeneland. Neither one riding the first race, but they have mounts throughout the card. Let's take a look at the other handicappers across the box here. Quick King's Ovation, the even money morning line favorites. Probably the speed of the race. I don't think he's got this going to be very far off of it, especially with the blinkers. 4 and 5 both go to the front here, and I think it kind of comes down to those two. Fieldstone a little bit more from off the pace, but I think if you're betting multi-race bets, 4 and 5 here. These two look like the 2 top horses. One of them should survive on the front end. Speed was back to being very, very, very good on the main track again on Saturday. After a couple closers, one on Friday, you thought maybe there's some hope for coming from behinders. Didn't happen very much on the main track, that's for sure. On Saturday, rattle and roll a little bit from off of it, but other than that, it was very speed friendly. Second race on the card, it's going to start the early pick 4, and races 2 through 5 will be the early pick 4. In the second race, we've got maiden special weights here going 5.5 on the grass. Turf Sprint Maiden Special. This is something we don't see a lot of. A couple every meet, a couple in the spring, but we haven't had one yet this season. Wesley Ward has been dominant in these races, so the 5 Cowicken just seems to be like the right logical spot. Power Post 3, 4, 5 in these big field turf sprints. 5 horse won the last race. 13-1, 14-1, whatever it was to close the card on Saturday. These power posts are potent for sure, and you can get a price in these spots. But when you have the top trainer for Keeneland turf sprints like Wesley Ward with a power post in the 5-hole, Johnny Velasquez riding, Cowicken looks like the horse to beat in there, knocking on the door in 4 maiden starts, 2nds and 3rds last year. Travels the course with him, or with her. I don't think she'll have any trouble with the footing. She ran well at Churchill, Belmont, and Saratoga last year, so she should handle just about anything. Cowicken, the horse to beat, obviously. I think the price plays a little bit with Heartful Hope, the 8 horse in here. Vicky Oliver sends this one out. Comes off races at Turfway where showed a little bit of ability, took on some good ones. Daring Do, one of those horses faced that is a pretty solid performer. So I kind of think the form for the 8 Heartful Hope's better than it looks on paper. The Turfway horses have run really well on the turf this meet. That has not been the case throughout the course of history. We mentioned at the beginning of this meet that the Turfway horses were going to have their best meet ever because they had the best season ever at Turfway Park. Excellent racing there throughout the winter with the increased purses and good weather there throughout the winter. So it was an excellent season at Turfway, the best we've seen in over a decade, and it's paying off here at Keeneland. I just assumed it would continue to happen on the main track, which was the norm for for the Turfway horses winning when they turned over to the main here at Keeneland, but they've run well on the grass. Heartful Hope, the 8, is going to be a big price, 20-1 in the morning line. So I think you take Cowicken, the favorite, in here, and I think this is the horse to beat. And then you kind of use the 8 in the second and third slot. So kind of in race number 2, I'm looking for a 5-8 all and a 5-all-8 trifecta kind of play, the way I'm throwing it together. Gabby's got Heartful Hope also in there, but I think we're going to get a fair enough price in there. Snow Princess, top pick for 2 of the runners. Snow Princess is Bill Mott, Joel Rosario teaming up. Again, Rosario, congrats on the big 3 stakes win day at Oaklawn. Back at it here at Keeneland. Secret Money, the 12, also one to keep in your considerations there. Wide draws, but wide draws win these turf sprints too. It's not that big of a disadvantage. Better than being stuck down in the 1-2 hole, I think. Secret Money with Irad Ortiz for Brendan Walsh. Walsh with the stakes win today in the Elkhorn at Keeneland, and he's had an excellent meet. 6 wins on the meet for Brendan Walsh. So certainly the 5, 8, 11, 12, those are the 4 that we're considering. But I think the 5, the way I would play the race is the single, the 5, and then I'm going to try to get the 8 in the exotics underneath. Third race up next, and third race on the card. I've got one in here I like a little bit, but not one of my absolute key plays of the day. But I like the filly in here, Honorific. Honorific, the 8. She goes back to the sprint ranks here and back to the 7 furlong ranks after a 6 furlong race last out at Mahoning Valley. I thought the race in Mahoning wasn't, great, but it was a decent effort for 6 furlongs, which is too short for her. And we've seen Eddie Keneally come here with the Mahoning Valley horses this week, run a good second earlier in the week, and the Mahoning horses have actually run pretty well on the main track, surprisingly. So Honorific, I think, is a horse who fits at this level. Second place finish here at Keeneland back in April. Third place finish in October of 2020 here at Keeneland on the main track. So a horse who likes the horse who likes the track, and you kind of like look at this field, and there's a lot of horses in here that are kind of like just, I don't know, batting around and haven't had much experience at Keeneland. I think those 2 Keeneland tries and 2 successful tries are enough maybe to get Honorific the top pick in race number 3. As we look across with my other handicappers, also the top pick for Kim Nelson and Tom Leach. Second choice for Scott and Gabby. So a very logical horse in that regard. Honorific 4-1. Maybe we won't get 4-1 the way the public handicappers have it shook out. We might see the price drop on that one a little bit. Treasure of War's the morning line favorite at 5-2, but none of the handicappers taking that one on top off a big class drop. Cherie DeVoe had a nice winner today. Boy, did she have a nice winner. Aunt Betty, I think the horse's name was, something like that. Aunt something. It wasn't Aunt B from Andy Griffith. I think it was Aunt Betty. What a just tremendous performance. Ran off the screen, 109-3. Cherie DeVoe had that one ready to go today. So Treasure of War, Gaffleone, aboard for DeVoe. The 4 is the morning line favorite in the second. I think this is a race you want to get a little bit of coverage. King Lady would not be a big surprise either. Probably 2-3 deep in this race would suffice. We're only looking at a field of 8, so you don't want to use too many of your bullets playing the multi-race wagers. Let's move next to race number 4 on the card, and this is going to start the pick 6, carryover pick 6 here. $135,000 in the pot for carryover money. So race number 4 starts the pick 6 with $62,500 claimers. We saw the very first one of these races at the 62.5 level run today. A new condition. We've not had an open company. There have been, I think, some like $100,000 claimers in the maiden claiming ranks, that kind of deal like that. But as far as like an open claiming condition, not a non-winners of 2, that sort of thing, open claiming, 62.5, the largest I've seen anywhere at Keeneland in our database going back to 2006. And I can't imagine they ran one for more than 62,000 back in the 80s or 90s in the claiming ranks. So this might be what is the highest claiming level ever offered at Keeneland. Again, we had one today. That's what comes up here in race number 4. I mean, it's basically an allowance race and a $50,000 claimer meeting in the middle when you look at the entries in this race. So do you want to take one of the horses in good form, or do you want to take one of the horses on the class drop out of the allowance ranks? I prefer the good form. Number 6, Mobster Gun's my top pick in here. 2 starts at Keeneland, a win in a second. So potential horse for course in here. Mobster Gun, the 6. Number 1 background is going to be tough in here. This horse has got a lot of speed. And you talk about classy running lines. This horse coming out of races at Oaklawn, but Silver Prospector, Folsom, Caddo River, Market Analysis, Hollis. This horse is taking on some really good horses in the Midwest. This is an easier spot for sure for background. And their speed down to the inside. That's always good going a mile and 16th here. Short stretch finish line in play, short run to the first turn. So background should get a really good trip on a Julian Leparoux. I think the 1 goes out all the way. The 6, Mobster Gun, tries to run him down. If the speed just isn't coming back in the first couple races on the card, we do have one turf race, but you'll get to see 2 dirt races before this one. If the speed's not coming back at all, background probably wins the race. If you've got a chance to punch past somebody, then the 6 Mobster Gun, I think, is the one in here. I know it's a long layoff. Not too concerned with that, though. These trainers nowadays get horses to run off the layoff. It's just part of the program. They don't need a race to get back into fitness. The 2 Order and Law, the 9-5 morning line favorite. Not a lot of early speed with this one. Coming from Southern California, so it might be a little faster than the running line suggests. You hear that term California speed sometimes. I don't think Order and Law is going to be near the front in here, but this horse could stay closer than the 6-7 lengths behind that he fell last time at Santa Anita's. Got a much better chance of being successful that way. The 2 Order of Law consideration. As you look, that's Tom Leach's top pick in here. Uninvited guest, also a top pick for Kim Nelson. So 4 different horses get the tab here as a potential top pick. It's a short field of 6. Again, you don't want to use too many horses if you're playing the multi-race wagers. For me, I would go 6 and 1 and just try to get through with that. I know background's going to be the speed. Mobster Gun's the horse from a little bit off the pace. And I'll try to beat Order and Law, thinking that one might be too far back. Although it's been a good meet for the Californians. You know, we've seen Phil D'Amato and Bob Hess, the trainer here, have some success bringing horses in from California at the current meet. Let's go next to race number 5, and the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is going to start here, as well as the swing leg and the early pick 5 and the late pick 5. You see the pick 5 in the opener runs through races 1 through 5, and then the late pick 5 will be 5 through 9. So if you have a good handicapping opinion in race number 5, you'll try to press it if you can. I have a pick in here who's been off a year plus, and I like her a little bit, but not a lot. I just think there's other options in this race. So I'd love to be more solidified in a swing race like this. But unfortunately for me, this is a race that I think you need to go 4 deep in. Let's see what the other contenders are according to the public handicappers here in race number 5. I've got the 6 Lilac Girl. I'm the only one. I'm on the island there. Kim Nelson also has Lilac Girl 3rd. The 1 Fast and Flirty's not in my top 3, but is right there on the cusp at the 4th option. Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone, they've teamed up. They've been really good. I think the horse can show speed from the inside on the stretch out and the blinkers on. I think you got to use the 1. So 6, 12, 11, and 1 are all horses I would want to have on my tickets. And that doesn't even get you the 10 in there, Ticalera. And Ticalera is a horse who's, got some speed as well from Gulfstream. Mike Match, Joel Rosario teaming up all since December. This horse, I think, might get caught up in the pace a little bit. The 2 For the Flag has a lot of early speed on the grass. The 5 Do You Love Me has a lot of speed in here. So I'm thinking that the 10 might get hooked in a speed duel. The outside horse, Lakota Spirit's probably going to have to use a little bit more speed from the wide draw. So I took a stand against the 10, thinking this horse will back up. Conservative trainer like Matt, I'd rather see a guy like him get a race into a horse. He's not one who's going to have a horse necessarily cranked up off the layoff to run big. So I'm going to toss the 10, but I still got to go 4 deep, throwing out the 3-1 morning line favorite. So I will go 6, 12, 11, and 1 in race number 5, the swing leg of the pick 5s. And the first leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, unfortunately, it's 4 deep in that $3 wager for me to have any confidence of advancing. Now we start to get to some of the races that I like a little bit more. Race number 6, that is, and that's a maiden claiming race going 7 furlongs, where Ian Wilkes has been good to us all meet. One of the few things we've been right about is his horses running strong, and they continue to do so. He's got one in here named Melano, the 10, who's 8-1 in the morning line by Into Mischief, the top dirt sire here at Keeneland. And I love to see those Into Mischiefs and Distorted Humors and sires like that in these 6.5, 7 furlong extended sprints. I think Melano is going to run big over this racetrack. I'm going to throw out the last race on the turf. We're just going to treat this horse almost like a first-time starter. Blinkers on. Julian Leperoux should get a great trip from the outside. Pedigree, hot barn, blinkers on, almost like a first-time starter, but there is a little foundation underneath. I'm just hoping that those 2 poor performances down at Gulfstream are eradicated once we get here to the main track, and with the big drop in class from the maiden specials on the dirt and turf to a maiden claimer on the dirt. This is a big drop in class for Melano. So I'm with the 10 in here, race number 6, and we got an 8-1 morning line offering on Melano. Nobody else has Melano picked on top. Tom Leach has him second. So I think we could hold that 8-1 price. Doesn't look like one that's going to get hammered at the windows. So our first key play of the day comes up here in race number 6. The 9's the second choice in here, all in the call. good second place finish in the career debut at Turfway. Again, the Turfway horses fit well here at this meet, especially in a maiden claiming sprint like this. You would think the 9 All in the Call makes a lot of sense. The 5 Teshima's the morning line favorite. Showed speed last time at Mahoning Valley. Now drops. 10-pound apprentice aboard. So the blinkers on an apprentice jockey. You imagine the instructions from Jonathan Wong and his assistant will be go to the front. When you have an apprentice rider who's not won many races as a 10-pound apprentice by definition, you don't want them to think too much. So speed, just go, bust out, take advantage of the lightweight. They get in at 108 pounds, get as much as 17 pounds less than the 6 horse in here. The rest of them are carrying 118. So the whole 10-pound allowance isn't going to hurt over 7 furlongs. Tashima with the apprentice jock, they're just going to bust and go and try to take him as far as they can. The other Ian Wilkes horse in here I think is worth a consideration is Paddy Gow, the 4. So if you like the Ian Wilkes horses, betting them blind at this point in the meet, and there's really no shame in doing so, then I think the 4 Paddy Gow is one you also want to throw in. 10, 9, 5, and 4 are all legitimate players, but I really do like the 10 on top. So for me, it's the 10 to win. I'll use the 9, 5, 4 underneath. You can even consider some of the others, the 1 from Oaklawn, the 3 from Oaklawn. You can put 9, 5, 4, 1, 3 all underneath the 10 if you're looking to play some tries and supers. But for me, it's the 10 on top in here. We're going to take our chances with Milano. In the multi-race wagers, I wouldn't argue if you threw in the 9 All in the Call. I think that's the most likely horse to be in there. Tashima as well. 3 deep, perhaps 4 deeps if you have to go that way, and use both of the Ian Wilkes horses in race number 6. Let's go to the 7th, and we've got ourselves another one of our key plays in here. This is a horse who was pace compromised last year at Keeneland. Number 7, Bakwina. Bakwina ran in a 1.125 mile turf race back in October here at Keeneland, where the half-mile split in that race was 2 seconds, 2 full seconds slower than the average half-mile pace we typically see for 1.125 mile races. So that's 10-plus lengths slower. Had no chance that day to make up ground. Still rallied to finish a good second, beaten 5 lengths, but that was a totally pace compromise. I think we're going to get more speed in this race, and Bakwina back at Keeneland, I think has a good chance for an upset. 15 to 1 in the morning line. I don't think we're going to get 15 to 1 because Tyler Gaffley owns aboard. I think that alone will push the price down a little bit. But with Bakwina, I think we're looking at a situation where this horse can be in the 6 to 8, 10 to 1 range and be reasonable. Top 3 pick for a lot of the different handicappers. 4 of the 5 use Bakwina somewhere. I'm the only one on top. But again, I just think pace compromised. Now you get Tyler Gaffley owned. A little bit more speed in this race, and I think we're going to see the 4 try to go to the front in here. And, it's not a race that's got a ton of early speed. The 2 is going to go a little bit, I think, freshened up. Maybe the 1 from the inside. We're going to need him to go a little bit better than 116. But I think if they even go 114 in here, the Bakwina is going to be all kinds of trouble coming down the stretch. Limited liability, the 6 for Shug McGahee makes a lot of sense. Big 3-year-old year, good 2-year-old year from this one. A winner over the Keeneland course in a Lowndes Company last year. No reason at all why limited liability can't fire right back against what frankly isn't a very strong field. Now, this horse has been in all stakes races. 3rd in the Virginia Derby, 3rd in the Pennine Ridge, as grade 2 stakes, 3rd in the Pilgrim. But they were all against the same age. This will be the first time that limited liability is taking on older horses. So while it looks like a drastic drop in class going from, graded stakes races last year off the layoff into this allowance spot, those were all 3-year-olds that were running against last year. So it is still a class drop because this potential field doesn't look like a strong allowance field. So limited liability is going to be tough in here, but I love Bakwina. So 7-6 the way I'm doing it, and I'm not messing around with a whole lot else. In race number 7. We're going to get the 7 in here in the win play. We're going to get an exacta box with the 7 and the 6, and we'll go 2 deep in the multi-race wagers. Certainly want to look towards some favorites in the next race. It looks like a 2-horse race on paper. So if you like the 7 Bakwina, you might get a nice daily double price, 7-5, 7-2 from races 7 and 8. Try to get a little bit more of that value because in the 8th race coming up, this allowance race is just a field of 5, and it absolutely almost can't be anything than the top 2 horses the way it looks on paper. Scotland, top choice for most of the handicappers. King's Glory, the second choice for most of the handicappers. Tom's the only one who's got it switched around the other way. Scotland, an impressive rallying debut winner down at Gulfstream Park, won 7 furlongs. The question here, and that was a very good race and a fast time, everything to like there. But if the track just will not be kind to a closer at all. Then the lone speed in this race is number 2, King's Glory. So the pace advantage for sure is with the 2. Joel Rosario rides the 2, King's Glory for Steve Asmussen. They're going to the front. This is a $575,000 Spikes down, who won last time out, first off the layoff from Saratoga. King's Glory is going to be on the lead. Scotland's going to try to come and get him. Scotland can't get as far back as he did down at Gulfstream and probably be successful. So you got to think that Irad Ortiz is probably going to put Scotland second coming out of the gate if they can. Sit right off of King's Glory, and it becomes a sprint to the wire. The closers have struggled to win these kind of races. Those 2-horse races, they seem to turn to the top of the stretch, and where you expect the outside horse to just kind of cruise up and go on by, they're not. They're kind of hanging at the top of the stretch, and the inside horse is pulling away. That's been the case, anecdotally at least, as I've watched the races throughout the course of this meet. Many, many times it's the horse on the inside and the speed who's rebuffing the speed, the closing horse on the outside. So I think you've got to watch out for the 2, just taking his field wire to wire. King's Glory. Scotland is going to be a very heavy favorite, but King's Glory is going to be short price too. They're 3-5 and 8-5 in the morning line, and they're going to be something like that on the tote board. Both are going to be sub 2-1. Not a great race, intra-race, so you got to look at daily doubles. Do I have something from the 8th to the 9th, or do I have something from the 7th into the 8th? That's how you want to look at this race, because you've got an either or. You only have 2 real options. So that we have back win of the big price horse 15-1 in the morning line in race 7. That sets me up for daily doubles, races 7 into race 8. And then, of course, we've got a horse we like here in the 9th race as we go to our final key plays of the day that we want to try to get to in a daily double. So we'll take the 2-5 in the 8th and try to get to our horse in this race that we have on top, and that is number 12, Rosie's Tomorrow, a benefactor of a debut builder. This horse ran 7.5 furlongs on the turf first time out at Gulfstream Park. That's a 2-turn race at Gulfstream, going 7.5 furlongs. That's not an easy spot at all. And so Rosie's Tomorrow debuted in a tough spot, should really be built up from that now. Second start for Mike Maker. I think Tyler Gaffleone taking the mount here. It's an outside draw that makes things tough, but I think this horse is going to improve vastly off the career debut. So Rosie's Tomorrow is my final best bet of the day, so it'll come in the last race. We're going to try to get there through some daily doubles, 5, 12, and 2, 12. We're going to try to get this 12-horse home in the last race. I'll let you know, too, in the 9th race, there's a $10,000 carryover in the Super High Five. Nobody hit it today. So if you like to play the Super High Five, not my kind of wager, but something that you certainly have to take under consideration if you like to play those. The carryover will be in play there, $10,000. I've got it 12-4-2 in the finale. Also want to keep an eye on the 13 Tactical Joke if that one draws in for Wesley Ward. Pretty good debut there. Ward Turf Miler with Irad Ortiz. You'd certainly consider the 13 if they draw in. Kim's got that runner in second. I would have to say that I would go probably 4th choice with the 13 if they come in, but certainly a horse to consider if you're playing multi-race wagers. Freitas Red is a horse dropping in class out of an allowance race back against the Maidens. Should fit okay for Kenny McPeak here. First time Lasix, first time off the bench. Number 2, After 8 is an interesting price play, and Gabby's got this one on top, as does Tom. So keep an eye on this one. Arnaud Delacour sent this horse out at Delaware last October. A decent debut at 4-5 is expected to do a little more than he did, or she did that day. She's an Into Mischief out of a Blame mare. Should like the 2 turns here. The turf mile ought to fit. And what we saw from Arnaud Delacour when he had Shea Pierre win on opening weekend, or it was the second week in the Maker's Mile, the second Friday of the meet, was just phenomenal. So big turf mile win, the biggest turf mile win by far of the meet for trainer Arnaud Delacour. He'll try to do it again here. This is not Shea Pierre on paper, but same connection, same barn, bringing one back in a turf mile after 8-2. One to consider in the nightcap. So that's going to wrap up our handicapping on this 9-race program for Sunday, the 23rd of April. It'll be day 12 of the meet. Hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great night. We will be back on Tuesday to preview the Wednesday card. Again, 3-day race week, closing weekend here at Keeneland, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's going to wrap up the Keeneland Look Ahead for our 3rd week of racing. Good luck tomorrow. Today at Keeneland hits the air at 11:30 a.m. Eastern with Scott and Gabby to preview the card. Expecting good weather, cooler temperatures, but we should have fast track, good turf, maybe firm turf, but it'll be on the good side, I would have to think. Fast track, good turf. Temps chilly in the 50s to 60 degrees tomorrow for the Sunday card. We'll talk to you Tuesday night. Good luck, everybody.